The corridors of the Starship Endeavour buzzed with the quiet hum of machinery and the steady footsteps of crew members moving purposefully between their duties. Marcus, a young engineer with a curious mind and a steady hand, often found himself wandering these passageways longer than necessary, drawn not just by his work but by the presence of the ship's elite soldiers. These warriors moved with a confidence born of training and countless missions, their armor gleaming under the cold white lights, yet scarred in places from past battles. Among them, one figure stood out to Marcus like no other: Lieutenant Arya. Her armor was different. It was sleek, yet worn. It told stories of survival and strength. The panels of her suit, a blend of matte black and deep metallic blue, seemed almost alive as they shifted subtly with her movements, crafted from materials that Marcus only knew about in theory and admired in practice. The armor was designed not just to protect but to enhance. Sensors built into the joints allowed for quicker reactions. Lightweight plating absorbed impacts that would shatter ordinary materials, and the helmet's visor displayed tactical data in real time. Marcus couldn't help but stare as she passed by, not out of disrespect, but genuine awe. His eyes followed the way the armor flexed with her every step, how it seemed to mold perfectly to her body, a perfect fusion of human and machine. For someone who worked on maintaining the ship's core systems, this blend of technology and physical prowess was inspiring, a symbol of human innovation pushed to its limits. What fascinated him even more was the silent confidence she carried, the way her presence alone seemed to command respect without words. Yet, as his gaze lingered longer than usual, he felt a sudden shift in the air. Arya, having caught him looking, turned sharply and fixed him with a steady gaze. Her eyes, sharp and clear, held a glint of amusement mixed with challenge. She raised an eyebrow, the corner of her mouth twitching into a half-smile that suggested she was not about to let this moment pass without comment. Marcus felt a flush rise in his cheeks. He'd been caught, and yet, instead of embarrassment, a spark of something new flickered between them, a silent conversation that needed no words. Arya's armor, once a barrier between soldier and civilian, suddenly seemed like an invitation to something more, a test of curiosity and courage. Marcus quickly looked away, unsure of what to say, but his mind raced. What did she expect? Was this a simple challenge or something more profound? The hum of the ship around them seemed to fade as their eyes locked for a brief moment, each trying to read the other's intentions. The starship was a place of strict rules and discipline. But here, in this brief exchange, something unspoken was exchanged, a glimpse of connection that transcended rank or role. Marcus realized that his fascination was not just with the armor itself, but with the person inside it, someone who had faced dangers he could only imagine and emerged stronger. This realization stirred something deep within him, a desire to understand not just the technology but the spirit behind it. As Arya turned and walked away, the confident stride returning to her step, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. The starship's corridors no longer seemed just passages of metal and light. They were pathways to discovery, where human courage met technological wonder. He knew that this moment was only the beginning. Somewhere beneath that armored shell was a story waiting to be told. Marcus was determined to be part of it, whatever challenges lay ahead. The Endeavour continued its silent journey through the stars. But for Marcus, the real adventure was just starting, sparked by a look, held by a warrior, and fueled by the endless possibilities of what it meant to be human in a vast, uncharted universe. When Arya caught Marcus staring at her armor, instead of scolding or ignoring him, she surprised him by issuing a challenge that neither of them expected. She didn't speak loudly or make a scene. Instead, she looked at him with a calm but firm expression and said, "If you're so interested, why don't you prove you belong out there with us?" Marcus blinked, caught off guard by the invitation. He had never imagined a soldier like Arya would want an engineer like him to join her in a combat exercise, especially one as demanding as the simulated drills reserved for the best fighters on the Endeavour. Despite his lack of combat training, Marcus's curiosity and growing respect for Arya pushed him to accept. The following day, in a specially designed training room deep within the ship, Marcus found himself surrounded by walls that shimmered with holographic projections, virtual enemies, obstacles, and unpredictable challenges designed to test every aspect of a soldier's skill. Arya stood beside him, her armor gleaming under the training lights, looking every bit the warrior he had admired from afar. She didn't speak much, but her eyes showed a mix of seriousness and something like encouragement. The first moments were overwhelming for Marcus. His body felt heavy with unfamiliar weight. His mind raced to process the flood of information from the heads-up display inside the helmet he was now wearing, which tried to mimic the features of her own armor. His heart pounded as the virtual enemies moved swiftly and unpredictably, forcing him to react faster than ever before. Yet, as the exercise progressed, Marcus realized this was not just a test of strength or speed, it was a test of thinking on his feet. Arya's movements beside him were fluid and confident. Marcus learned to anticipate her tactics, adapting to the rhythm of their teamwork. Slowly, the armor stopped feeling like a burden and began to feel like a part of him, amplifying his senses and sharpening his instincts. Despite his lack of formal combat experience, Marcus's engineering skills came into play in surprising ways. He found himself hacking into the simulation systems mid-exercise, using quick logic and technical know-how to disable virtual traps and turn enemy drones against themselves. Arya noticed and began to rely on his unique abilities, adapting her strategy to include his unconventional tactics. Together, they moved like a well-oiled machine. The fusion of her physical prowess and his technological insight, creating a force that neither expected. What amazed Marcus the most was how the armor responded to every movement Arya made, not just protecting her, but enhancing her natural skills, allowing her to react faster and strike with more precision. He saw in her the perfect blend of human determination and advanced technology, a reminder that no matter how advanced the armor was, it was the person inside it who truly made the difference. As the simulation's intensity increased, the holographic enemies became more aggressive and unpredictable, pushing Marcus to his limits. He felt exhaustion creeping in, but Arya's steady presence and quiet commands helped him stay focused. He began to understand the importance of trust not just in the technology, but in each other. The exercise became more than a challenge. It was a lesson in teamwork and resilience. By the end, Marcus was covered in sweat and breathing heavily, but a wide smile spread across his face. Arya nodded at him, a rare smile breaking her usually serious demeanor. "Not bad for a newbie," she said simply, but the pride in her voice was clear. Marcus felt a surge of confidence. He had stepped beyond the safety of his engineering bay and discovered a new part of himself, part capable of rising to challenges he never imagined facing. The experience forged a bond between them, not based on rank or role, but on mutual respect and shared experience. Arya's challenge had been more than a test. It was an invitation to be part of something bigger, a team that relied on every skill and strength to survive in the vast, dangerous reaches of space. For Marcus, the simulated combat was only the beginning of a journey that would push him further than he had ever thought possible, teaching him that courage and adaptability were as vital as any armor or weapon. As they left the training room, the hum of the ship seemed quieter, the corridors less intimidating. Marcus knew that from that day forward, nothing about the Endeavor or his place on it would be the same. The armor he once only admired from afar was now a symbol of a challenge accepted and a future full of possibilities. The simulated combat exercise continued to push Marcus and Arya to their limits. But it was during a sudden tactical ambush that Marcus's unique talents truly came to light, forever changing how Arya viewed him and dissolving the invisible walls that once separated soldier from engineer. The exercise's holographic environment shifted abruptly. Virtual enemies closing in from all directions, drones buzzing overhead like mechanical predators ready to strike. Arya moved swiftly, her armor gleaming as she dodged and countered attacks with precision. But even the best soldier could find herself overwhelmed by sheer numbers and unexpected threats. Marcus, caught in the chaos, realized that the only way to turn the tide was to use his knowledge of the ship's technology in ways no one had expected. Spotting a security drone approaching Arya from behind, Marcus quickly accessed the control interface embedded in his helmet's display. an experimental feature rarely used by non-combat personnel. His fingers moved rapidly, hacking into the drone's systems, overriding its commands, and turning it from a threat into an ally in an instant. The drone's blinking lights changed from hostile red to a calming green as it pivoted, now targeting the virtual enemies that surrounded them. Arya's eyes widened as she saw the drone shift sides and cover her back, her respect for Marcus deepening with every second. This was no longer just about physical strength or quick reflexes. It was about using every available tool and talent to survive and succeed. As the ambush ended and the holographic enemies faded away, a new understanding took root between them. Arya approached Marcus with a look that combined admiration and surprise, recognizing that his skills were as vital to their mission as her combat abilities. The professional barriers that had once defined their relationship began to break down, replaced by a genuine connection forged in the heat of battle, if simulated. Over the following days, their conversations changed. They no longer spoke only in technical terms or formal reports. Instead, discussions of mission strategies gave way to sharing personal stories, dreams, and ambitions that had been hidden beneath the surface of their duties. Marcus learned about Arya's past, how she had grown up in a harsh world where strength and quick thinking meant survival, and how her armor was not just protection but a symbol of her journey and resilience. Arya, in turn, discovered Marcus's passion for invention and his hope that technology could bridge gaps and solve problems beyond the battlefield. The armor that once seemed cold and intimidating became a symbol of human effort and shared goals, a reminder that behind every piece of technology was a person with hopes and fears. Marcus found himself inspired by Arya's determination, and Arya was moved by Marcus's quiet strength and intelligence. Their growing bond was not just personal, it was a powerful example of how different talents could combine to create something greater than the sum of its parts. The ship's corridors echoed less with the sounds of orders and commands and more with laughter and conversation, signaling a shift in the atmosphere that others aboard the Endeavor began to notice. Marcus and Arya were no longer just engineer and soldier. They were partners, united by respect and shared experience. As the days turned into weeks, their teamwork improved beyond the exercise, influencing real missions and challenges. Marcus's technical skills became an essential complement to Arya's combat expertise, and together they faced problems with creativity and determination. Their bond, forged in the fire of simulated battle, became a foundation for trust that no threat real or imagined could easily break. In the quiet moments between missions, they would stand together, looking out into the vastness of space, contemplating the fragile yet powerful connection that humanity had forged through courage, technology, and empathy. The armor, once a barrier and symbol of distance, now represented the best of what humans could achieve: strength through unity, innovation through cooperation, and hope through understanding. As the Endeavor sailed silently through the stars, Marcus and Arya knew their story was just beginning. Together, they would face whatever the universe threw at them, not as soldier and engineer, but as friends and equals bound by the trials of battle and the promise of a shared future. The calm routine aboard the Endeavor shattered in an instant, when the ship's sensors picked up an unknown fleet rapidly approaching from beyond the outer borders of known space. Hostile alien force unlike any the crew had ever encountered. The alarms blared throughout the corridors, red lights flashing urgently, casting sharp shadows on the walls as crew members scrambled to their stations. Marcus and Arya, still fresh from their training exercises, found themselves thrown headfirst into a real battle, one where failure meant more than just losing a simulation. It meant life or death. Arya's armor, tested in countless drills, now faced the brutal truth of war. Absorbing impacts from enemy plasma blasts that tore through the ship's hull and rocked its frame, she moved with fierce determination, protecting the crew and holding off-boarding parties that tried to breach critical areas. But the Endeavor itself was struggling. Its core systems, usually reliable and steady, began to falter under the intense assault, power fluctuating unpredictably, shields flickering, and communication lines cutting out intermittently. It was in this chaos that Marcus's skills honed. through hours of technical work and simulations became vital. While Arya fought on the front lines, Marcus raced through the ship's maintenance tunnels and control rooms, diagnosing failures, rerouting power, and patching broken systems with rapid precision. His knowledge of the Endeavor's inner workings gave the crew hope when the situation seemed darkest. Working side by side, Marcus and Arya coordinated their efforts through fractured comms, developing strategies that combined her combat expertise with his technical solutions. Marcus hacked into the ship's defense systems, recalibrating turrets to target enemy vessels with greater accuracy, while Arya led squads in repelling boarding teams, using her armor's enhancements to move quickly and strike decisively. Their teamwork was seamless, a perfect blend of human grit and technological mastery, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, adaptability and collaboration could tip the scales. The battle raged for hours, each moment filled with tension as the Endeavor's survival hung in the balance. Alces, though exhausted, refused to give in, driven by the knowledge that every fix he made kept his friends alive. Arya, her armor scratched and dented but unyielding, fought with the strength of a warrior born to protect her people. Slowly, their combined efforts began to turn the tide. Enemy ships started to retreat, their formations breaking under the relentless defense orchestrated by Marcus's quick thinking and Arya's fearless leadership. As the final alien vessel fled into the darkness of space, the crew of the Endeavor breathed a collective sigh of relief. Though the cost was clear in the damage and the weary faces around them, in the aftermath, Marcus and Arya stood together. On the bridge, watching the stars outside with a mixture of exhaustion and pride, they had faced a threat unlike any other, and in doing so, it's proven that humanity's greatest weapon was not just its technology or armor, but the courage and unity of its people. The attack had changed them, deepened their bond, and reaffirmed their commitment to protect what they held dear. The Endeavor would sail on, scarred but unbroken, carrying the story of that day forward as a testament to human resilience. For Marcus and Arya, it was more than survival. It was a defining moment that showed the power of partnership and the unbreakable spirit that lived within every human heart. After the fierce battle that tested their limits and brought the Endeavor to the edge of destruction, Marcus and Arya found a moment of calm on the ship's observation deck, standing side by side as they gazed out into the endless stretch of stars. The vastness of space beyond the glass window seemed both humbling and inspiring, a reminder of how small they were in the universe, yet how powerful humanity could be when united by shared purpose and courage. In those quiet moments, the respect and camaraderie that had grown between them over countless hours of training and battle blossomed into something deeper, an unspoken bond forged through trust, struggle, and mutual admiration. War, which once felt like a barrier separating soldier and civilian, now symbolized the bridge between two very different lives brought together by extraordinary circumstances. It was no longer just a suit of protection, but a testament to what humans could achieve when their hearts and minds aligned in pursuit of survival and hope. Marcus thought about how much he had changed since the day he first looked at Arya's armor with curiosity and how every challenge they faced had drawn them closer. The quiet strength she showed in combat was matched by her moments of vulnerability. And Marcus saw the person beneath the armor not as a distant figure, but as a kindred spirit. Arya too recognized in Marcus a rare blend of intelligence, bravery, and compassion that went beyond the technical skills she had come to rely on. Their conversations now held layers of meaning, dreams shared in whispers, fears spoken aloud, and hopes for a future that seemed uncertain, yet full of promise. The ship hummed softly around them, carrying scars from the recent attack, but also the unwavering spirit of its crew. As they stood together, the stars outside seemed to reflect the possibilities ahead, shining like distant beacons guiding them forward. They knew the universe would continue to challenge them with dangers and mysteries yet to come, but neither felt alone. In the vastness of space, they had found more than survival. They had found connection, a partnership that balanced strength with understanding and action with trust. The armor, once a symbol of separation, was now a shared symbol of resilience. innovation, and unity. It reminded them that humanity's true power lay not just in technology or weapons, but in the ability to come together, to adapt, and to protect one another against all odds. As the observation deck lights dimmed and the stars continued their silent dance, Marcus and Arya made an unspoken promise to face the future side by side, embracing whatever challenges awaited with courage and hope.
Ow.
Their story was no longer just about one soldier and one engineer. It was about the endless potential that could be unlocked. When people dared to look beyond their differences and see the strength in each other, in that quiet moment, surrounded by the infinite night, a new beginning was born, one filled with possibility, friendship, and the shared dream of reaching further, together.